as our Constitution and the First Amendment. I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Stevens, minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Palouse. Oh, we have an impact statement too. Impact's important.
I was excited to attend an important conference in Canada. This conference would have greatly benefited my research. Now I can't leave the country because I would not be able to return.
Wow.
So these impact statements are written by people who were too afraid to speak aloud. Real people. So hello, friends. It's good to see some familiar faces, and it's even better to see more faces, new faces. The people of the Palouse, we rise to resist hate and bigotry. We rise for justice, we rise for kindness, we rise for human rights, and most importantly, we rise for one another.
That's right. That's right.
Now, when I was a little girl, my very favorite classroom job was called flag person. And this job consisted of leading the Pledge of Allegiance and choosing which patriotic song we would sing each morning. My little heart beats strong with love for my country. I was and I am deeply patriotic. Seeing veterans marching in their uniforms never fails to bring me to tears. Now, as I've grown and matured, I've had to face the dark side of this country's history. The slavery, genocide of indigenous peoples, Japanese internment camps. I understand these important stories to be a part of an epic battle between our highest ideals on one side and fear and greed on the other. Now, for most of my life, I have believed and hoped that those high ideals were winning. And so this executive order that tries to restrict travel and block immigration of refugees, it hurts my patriotic heart. I feel deeply, deeply ashamed. This is not who we are as Americans. We are a country that values fairness, and it just isn't fair to block travel, keep families apart, and put children in handcuffs just because of where they come from, the color of their skin, or where they worship. It's not fair. We are a country that is good. We are good people. And it is evil to turn our backs on folks trying to flee the war in Syria. This is perhaps the greatest humanitarian crisis of our times, and by virtue of our foreign policy, we are complicit in it. So it is evil to turn our backs, and we are not evil. We are a country that is brave. And we should not and cannot let fear drive us to act in ways that violate our deepest principles and drive us apart. The people who are impacted by this horrible executive order are innocent. They are mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, children, students, teachers, doctors, and they have done nothing wrong. Now, after 9/11, we were asked to take our shoes off in the airport, and we were willing. We were willing to take our shoes off, to have our stuff x-rayed and picked through, willing to throw out drinks and toiletries, willing to wait in longer lines. Those are inconveniences, and we're willing to accept inconveniences in this country for the sake of safety. But I'm here to say we are not willing. We are not willing to allow racial profiling or unjust treatment of immigrants. Like my friend and colleague Steve, I'm deeply troubled by the rise of Islamophobia and hate crimes in our nation. The mosque burnings, the shooting in Quebec, these are tragic events. These are the terrorist attacks that we need to be working to prevent. So I want my Muslim neighbors and friends to hear and see and feel that here on the Palouse, you are welcome. And you are loved. And you are appreciated. And if ever you need our help, you just have to ask. As a human being and as a leader in the faith community, I promise you we will be there for you. I pray for you every day. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you, today and all days. Thank you.
We're going to ask two people to step forward, the next two immigrant statements to step forward, please. I'd like to remind you that today, people are standing in for their immigrant friends. These are real statements from immigrants in our community who are afraid to step forward. I speak for her. I was waiting for my husband to reunite with me after 1 year. I feel so shaken. I stand with her.
I speak for her. My godson and mother were on their way to the U.S. I can't believe how easily we were torn apart. I stand with her.
I'd like to welcome the youngest and longest sitting Pullman City Council member, Meghan Weller.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, everyone, for being here and braving this cold weather. Two cities, Pullman and Moscow. Two universities, WSU, University of Idaho. One community. One community. One region. This is the melting pot of the Northwest. Always open and welcoming, which reminded me of Lady Liberty. Give me your tired, give me your poor, your brave masses yearning for more. Send me your intelligent dreamers, your creative and hardworking. We welcome the caring and compassionate, fleeing despots and war. Fear not, I am not a hardened soul, an angry fury, or a hateful ego. I open my heart, my mind, and my door. I am the spirit of a grateful nation and people. I think you could tell that was a little different. So, I want to tell you a story of my brother from another mother. He came here as the first in his family to become an American citizen. His parents came from Sudan on a work visa and a student visa. His dad was an engineer, worked with the DOD, NASA. His mom was a nurse. Jamal started serving in the Navy after 9/11 and has served 15 honorable years. He is my Muslim brother. His grandma and aunt often come to visit from Sudan. But what about now? Will he see them again? The day of the immigration ban, I walked out of my house with a heavy heart. I looked up. My neighbors had hung Trump signs on their chimney. I shook my head and walked on, but I remembered an elderly woman and immigrant that I took care of, saying, "It takes all types." Do not harden your hearts against others, immigrants, or those that disagree. Always be open.